Good afternoon. Usually, in the beginning of these speeches, the speakers talk about the people that fill the room. Well, we aren't in a real room, but I would like to take some time to thank the people that make up our support system. This support system is filled with the esteemed faculty, the compassionate parents, and the dependable friends that walked beside us and at times carried us through our high school careers. I think I can speak for the entire class in saying 2 words to you all. Probably not the 2 words you're expecting, which would be thank you, but probably 2 words that are more fitting, which would be I'm sorry. I'm sorry for all the times we failed to clean up after ourselves. I'm sorry for keeping you up till 11:59 to help us finish our homework. Mostly though, I'm sorry for every moment that we should have said thank you and neglected to, including that time about 30 seconds ago that I probably should have said it. We owe you much more than 60 seconds of a graduation speech. The English language has failed me when it comes to finding a word that is adequate to describe all that you do for us. You've been our role models, cheerleaders, confidants. You've been the very people that shaped each and every graduate into the person that they are today. Through all the heartache, panic attacks, diagnoses, and discouragement, you have held our hands. You have walked beside us in the most transformative and utterly confusing years of our lives. And you especially loved and cared for us as we cried over the things missed out on in this COVID-19 crisis. We love you and we thank you. To Dr. Hannock, it takes a tremendous amount of intelligence and determination to point out a hole in the education system and come up with a solution to fix it. It takes much more intelligence, determination, and perseverance to actually create that solution, to nurture it into existence and faithfully and steadfastly turn that solution into a safe place where students are cared for, where students can reach their maximum potential. The school has created a unique opportunity to learn for people who otherwise may not have had access to the best education. On behalf of the graduating class of 2020, I'd like to say thank you for possessing the characteristics required to accomplish that great feat. People tell you that high school is a time to figure out who you are, what you want to do, and where you want to do it. What everyone is afraid to tell you is just how incredibly and overwhelmingly difficult that can be. Like most of these graduates, I can point to the specific moment when my life fell apart. For me, that moment occurred during my sophomore year. At this point in my life, I was starting to realize that people disappoint you. You've been repeatedly smacked in the face with the phrase, "nobody's perfect," since you could read those 14 letters. It is an entirely separate and sobering experience when those 14 letters are no longer a Hannah Montana song, but a brutal reality. When the people you hold in the highest esteem, the ones you've put all your faith in, the ones you hold the closest and love the most, fail you. Over the past 4 years and even beyond that, we've all experienced this. More than that, we know just how emotionally and mentally draining it can be to be expected to persevere and continue working diligently at our assignments despite what's going on in our personal lives. Some of us had to persevere through losing loved ones. Some of us had to persevere through illnesses, physical or mental, seen or unseen. Some of us had to persevere through financial struggles, taking on more work to help ease the burden for our parents. Some of us had to persevere through watching those close to us struggle, hurt, and ache. Now, we are all collectively persevering through having the supposed best months of high school unfairly taken from us. But the one thing we all have in common, we did persevere. We did make it through each and every hard night full of uncertainty. The class of 2020 is no stranger to adversity. Most of us graduating today were born into a country that was actively mourning the great tragedy that is September 11th, 2001, during a time when all anyone around us knew was fear. Now, we depart high school amidst a pandemic that has taken away many of the precious memories of high school that people often reflect on. We exit high school during another fearful and lonely time. It is appropriate to mourn these losses, but it is also appropriate to recognize our strength in going on despite the loss. The graduating class of 2020 is strong. However, we can't take all the credit for this. We owe a majority of the credit to all of you. Back in my sophomore year, I was incredibly discouraged as a result of difficult circumstances. One of the most memorable moments of this year was a conversation I had with one of my teachers at USP. I had just explained for probably the 5th time that month why my assignments were late. And as I turned to walk out of that classroom, she called my name to get my attention. She spoke 4 words to me. The 4 words I deserved to hear were something along the lines of, "Get your act together." But the 4 words I actually did hear were consistent with her kind and gracious demeanor. They offered me hope in a seemingly hopeless situation. She said, "I believe in you." Now, anyone who has had the pleasure of having Jamie Castle as a teacher can tell you that's the way she always spoke to her students, with a compassion and sincerity that showed just how much she believed in you. That is the type of teachers we have at Pennsylvania Leadership Charter School, the type that sincerely believe in each and every one of their students. In these 4 years that are supposed to be the most important, informative, it is easy to stop believing in yourself. It is easy to get discouraged and to feel like you failed. The thing that always kept each and every one of us going was our support system. So on behalf of the class of 2020, I want to express our deepest and most sincere gratitude for how you've cared for us and loved us through 4 most difficult years of our lives thus far. You will always be held in high esteem to us, and we will never forget the impact you've made on our lives. And to my graduating class, I believe in you, and I can't wait to see where you go. Congratulations, class of 2020. We persevered.